Hi. How you guys doing? Hey, Lion. Cups. Should I start saying Herr Teacups from now on? I feel like no. Maybe Mr. Teacups. Maybe Mr. Teacups. Yeah, hi. This is my usual schedule. Which means we do the usual thing. But there's a twist today. Because today, if you haven't noticed yet, Half-Life 1 turned 25 3 days ago, I think? Let me see. Half-Life... Came out in... yeah, 2 days actually. On the 19th. And... well, now it's like over, but they have given away Half-Life for free on Steam. So if you haven't had the chance yet, you should have taken that one and played the fucking game. There we go. And they also released a documentary, which is about 1 hour long. And I kind of want to watch it. So let's watch that. Where is it? Is it this one? There we go. Where is it? Here we go. There we go. Oh yeah, did I mute this? I did mute this.
You just go over the mountains over here and you're in high desert. You get past Ellensburg and it's high desert. So I spent a lot of time out there getting reference. Most of the reference came from Eastern Washington. I did a drive out to the Columbia Gorge and took a lot of photos and also a lot of...
Wait. Subtitles. Size. This is fine. Casual. Nah. Background. Maybe this one? This one. Window opacity. Oh. I think this one is nicer to look at. Like the full. Okay. Let's watch it.
Just reference imagery of just like, hey, this is what desert looks like and big cliffs and stuff like that. That drive was 2 days. It was 8 hours down, 8 hours back, and I'm not even sure I spent the night. I did, I must have spent the night down there. So while it was definitely made for the Southwest, the local reference was out in the Columbia Gorge.
Good morning and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train is provided for the security and convenience of the Black Mesa Research Facility personnel.
Well, 2 days ago. funny how this looks nowadays. Chapter 1.
My name is Mike Harrington. I was co-founder at Valve. I wasn't really used to big companies. When I started at Microsoft, it wasn't that big. It was like 1,500 people, like a big high school. 9 years later, it was significantly bigger. I'm thinking, oh, this place is too big. And that was still like 1996, so they had a long ways to go. I told my managers like a year before, like, I'm leaving in a year and I'm gonna start a game company. And the first person I talked to was a good friend of mine, Michael Abrash. But at that time, he was trying to do something within Microsoft, and by the time it made sense, John Carmack had convinced him to go work at id. So how could he say no to that? And then I was having lunch with Gabe, and I said, Gabe, I'm leaving. I'm just gonna leave and I'm gonna start a game company. He goes, I wanna leave, I wanna start a game company. I go, all right, and that was it.
On the surface, we should have failed. And realistically, both Mike and I thought we would get about a year into it, realize we'd made horrible mistakes, and go back to our friends at Microsoft and ask for our jobs back. But we did think that we knew a fair bit about software development, that there were expertise that goes into it. I think we also had some pretty clear ideas of how to design a company, right? So when we were building Half-Life, we were also
classic, I don't want to get photographed.
We had no plan except for, by then, like I mentioned, Michael had gone to id. And he said, oh, you're starting a game company, you have to use our engine. So Gabe and I flew down to Mesquite to meet id. We spent a good deal of time with John Romero, and he told us, like, this is what you need to do to start a game company. You need to go out and hire some level designers and do that kind of thing. And we kind of understood the engineering part. And then, because we were Michael's friends, we walked away with the source code to Quake that day. We had no contract yet. We had kind of an idea of what it jewels a bid, and that, game on.
That was a weird jump, but sure.
I think most of us had no game development experience. We were either amateurs working in our homes at night for fun, or some people were from the software world, but they had never worked on a game. I think we had 3 or 4 people in the entire company who had actually shipped a game when we started Half-Life. We have to figure out what is Valve's first game. So we have to come up with an IP. So everything is done from scratch.
Gabe came into the office and he said, I read this story. I read this Stephen King story called The Mist. Stephen King, it's got monsters, people in a grocery store, fog comes in, monsters in the fog, use your imagination. We didn't want to write that as a game. That wasn't really the point, but it was just the tension and how it felt.
Well, it was interesting. At first, we had 2 games. Greg was working Prospero, and then Half-Life was originally called Quiver.
My job was then build a team and figure out another game for us to build. That'll be the second game Valve ships. What features should it have? How is it going to be different from a normal first-person
the first
shooter?
game.
Every time the engine got a feature for Prospero, Half-Life stole it. And then Half-Life just started getting visually, more impressive and cooler. And eventually it just, because it was going to ship sooner, it just stole the resources from Prospero, and Prospero just faded away.
I had this character, had like a floating orb, and it wanted to have some, effects on it. It's kind of magical energy something. And so I worked with them on that and came up with the first version of the beam effects, and they were using it, they were happy with it, and then people on Half-Life are coming over and like, what is that? How did you do that? So very quickly that got into Half-Life. The disaster sequence has kind of beam effects all over it, and we ended up using it for the Vortigons.
Like, there were a bunch of things that we were doing that we thought would help us tackle the problem of what video games were. And what video games were a rapidly changing field where, at the time, 90% of video games failed to turn a profit. And a few percentage of them were very, very profitable, right? So it was a field that really valued talent.
Like I said, Gabe and I brought some people, and then from there on out we had to hire people. And Romero said you got to hire level designers. So we found some people who had industry experience.
Worked on Rise of the Triad first as a pixel artist, and then went with Duke Nukem, and then everything just went nuts. But I was sitting in my office one day, and my phone rang, just out of the blue, and I pick it up, and it's this recruiter. Eventually, he hooked me up with Gabe, and they flew me up here. is a big surprise.
But then we started looking, the nice thing that we had is we had a whole bunch of people in the world who had been working on mods, and so we could start looking at those folks. And that's where we hired a lot of our designers.
Steve and Guthrie, Steve Bond, John Guthrie were my favorite hires by far. Other than Doug, Gabe sent them an email and they're like, who is this scammer? Never heard of these guys. Just kids, like barely 20, I swear. And they show up and they're just the most creative, brilliant. Clever. Fucking clever. Steve had the magic ability to make stuff fun.
The fact that those guys have been hired to go work on some game for some company, I think that was the start for a lot of people that something cool was going to happen, because those guys were already doing stuff that was cool.
And then Mark showed up, and Mark actually knows how stories work, beginning, middle, end, and all this stuff, and he had all sorts of great ideas, and he also would just bring good ideas out of everybody else as well.
Like the person who wrote more code on Half-Life was a chemistry major who decided to be an IP lawyer in Atlanta, right? And he ended up writing more code than anybody else. The creature designer for most of the AI for the creatures in the game was a manager at a Waffle House. It's not like there are a bunch of people that you could say, oh, this person has a PhD in video game design. It was that combination of both finding those people when it wasn't necessarily easy to find them at that stage in the video game industry, and then also convincing them that it was a better place to work than anybody else.
Wait, talking I'm only 2 years? Even less?
One of the things that I definitely learned was how to hire engineers. And we needed some engineers.
For us anyway, we had licensed IDS engine, we're using the Quake engine. And one of the things me and some of the other engineers, probably Ken, were talking about was if it would be possible to use the save system to kind of like join our levels together in a really seamless way. So you get to the end of a level, save stuff, and then load some of it on the next level. And have it just feel like the world's all connected.
And so we had like every once in a while a hallway or the train would get to a point and you would have a little stop for the level to transition. And so he wrote that code leveraged on top of just the save load code to do the transitions. And I think in Half-Life 1 we got most of the transitions were a second or two.
All those were the head crafts back then.
From 8-bit to 16-bit. Like, hey, we don't have to have all our textures fit in a certain 256 colors. That was a huge liberation.
The two tech investments we made for Half-Life was to get to 16-bit color and skeletal animation for all the monsters.
But at the time it was completely revolutionary. Your Quake characters it's like a text file of vertex positions over time.
I wanted so much more animation, and I wanted the animators to have the freedom to put in 100, 200, 500 frame of animation, if not more. And then you can do all sorts of other things because you have a skeleton, so it's like, oh, I can hook on a gun to a character. I can start to make changes of characters and replay the same animation or reuse most of the same model, so we can swap out heads, we can swap out this, we can swap out whatever.
Like all the technology that went into the game to make it as fun as it is was not available one generation before. So licensing the Quake engine, which was very mature and had level designers who'd grown up just goofing around with it.
I wasn't heavily into scripting since back into Doom. Like my old Doom levels have a lot of weird, odd events in them. I think I asked Ken, is it possible that I could, have access to the character's animation, like a trigger? Like what I mentioned, I could make the guys go into an animation, I could make them run, and then I would configure everything. It was all hack. This is total hacky stuff. And that is mostly what I built, was like things like characters reacting and jumping out are made to look like, or I'd use a push brush to throw a head crab out to make it look like it launched at something.
Or if a loud sound happened,
they would respond,
would cower.
Gabe's dictate was, as you walked forward, something needs to happen like every 3 to 5 seconds. The player stands still, the
didn't have to be much.
Universe can be quiet, but if they move forward, if they're active, the universe needs to play back something, needs to do something, even if it is a scripted sequence or
even
a
just
little
an interesting sign or
or a sound or some vignette or something. So I came up with this interaction method where
basically train
you could do
people
little
to
AIs
always
where the characters would
wanting
talk and
some
interact with you a little bit. And then we wanted to do spectacle, and that was scripted sequences where you could tell a character, you need to run here and then jump into this animation, and then have a bunch of you all synchronize your animation because it's somebody flying through the air, they're smashing something, or they're doing something like that.
Yeah, and then test it and figure out, like, oh, this is real easy to break. That was the roughest thing about scripted sequences, where you'd have like a head crab jumping on a scientist or something, and it's like, yeah, it works totally fine 90% of the time, but some people just sprint right at the scientist, and sometimes we have to put them behind glass. And
sometimes getting the level designers making the player want to do the thing that gives them the most fun is a very subtle art.
The tentacle sequence is probably the one I remember the most.
You're playing it, right? That was the first time I think they melded together.
Because you had your trigger
so closely,
and we wanted it to be triggered. So by the time you start to see it, you see the scientist flying through the air and hitting the wall. Then you could look in and you could see the scientist being carried away. The tentacle itself is separate; it's on its own, and you bring the two together, mesh them together, and boom.
It felt so seamless though, and that for me was like. Moments like that, and that might have been the first one, is when you start to see the scripted events and play start to blend a little bit more than just ambience.
For God's sake, open the silo door! They're coming for us! It's our only way out! Oh my God, we're doomed!
No! Of course it would.
I remember Brett in particular had done
Of
some
course
of the
you
lab
would run
scenes where
into that.
scientists would walk from one area to another and just look at a monitor. And it gave them a little bit of life. A ton of the work that went into that area was because we knew it was going to be the beginning of the game, and we really needed to make it a vibrant and interesting, fun place to be and explore.
So originally they were designed to sort of be behind glass. They were just designed to be spectacle.
Yeah, a little vignette.
And then all of the level designers like, no, I'm gonna put that right in front of you. And I'm like, oh God, how am I supposed to make this work? It's not supposed to do it.
Get away from there, Freeman. I'm expecting an important message.
The run speed for the player was so insane.
Yeah.
It was like, what, 25 miles an hour?
It was sprinting. It was.
You could get so far, so fast. And so you'd either have to make the scripted sequence like so quick that you could barely see what's happening. Most people weren't looking in the right place anyway, so you'd have to like get their attention with like a particle or a sound or lighting or something, and then you wanted them to see what was happening. But when we play tested, and if like a scientist was like being pulled into a vent or something, like people wouldn't just stop and like, oh, sometimes they would be like, oh wow, look at that. They just run straight ahead and just start shooting.
It's hard when you think back to it to recognize that those kind of interactive moments were so new. Like people just hadn't seen them.
It was worth it because no other games were doing that. No other games had that interactivity. No other games had that spectacle playing out in front of you. And it just added that whole
Motherfuck.
feel of Half-Life. Gabe had started to develop this theory around interactivity, and the environment needed to let you do what you wanted and then react to it. So if you did something, if you shot your gun, there needed to be a bullet hole in the wall. If you did a thing, people needed, other characters needed to react. The world is acknowledging you exist. The world is acknowledging all of your actions. And that's this huge part of reinforcement.
Ow.
And you'd have these conversations where you'd be sitting in a design review and somebody'd say, that's not realistic. And you're like, okay, what does that have to, explain to me why that's interesting, because in the real world, I have to write up lists of stuff I have to go to the grocery store to buy. And I've never thought to myself that realism is fun. I go play games to have fun. And so we had to come up with some notion of what fun was. We knew it was an ad hoc definition, and it was the degrees to which the game recognizes and responded to the player's choices and actions, right? In behavioral science, you would say we were explicitly talking about what were reinforcers and what the reinforcement schedules were, right? At that point in time, that was a useful way of making design decisions. The point I would make is, if I go up to a wall and shoot it, to me it feels like the wall is ignoring me. I'm getting a narcissistic injury when the world is ignoring me. So it is to me, I was trying to convey to the user a sense of, yes, you were making choices, yes, you were progressing, which meant the game had to acknowledge that back to you. If you shoot at a wall, there have to be decals. If you kill a bunch of Marines, the Marines have to run away from you, right? You have to have this sense of the game acknowledging and responding to the choices and actions and progressions that you've made. Otherwise, it loses any sort of impact.
No.
Ted and I, we were on the same page in terms of what the game should look like, which would be just sort of alien in a very naturalistic kind of way. Like these are creatures from another dimension, another planet that look like they evolved in a way. And Chuck had he came from Duke Nukem. He made a bunch of monsters that went in a sort of a different direction. And for a while, the game had a hard time coalescing around a single vision.
All the ones that looked like genitals were Ted's. And all the ones with shiny bits that looked like alien soldiers were Chuck's.
That was a thing when I first came in, Ted's style and mine.
And trying to figure that out.
Trying to find the harmony between the two to make it work.
Yeah.
Ted he really liked the Wayne Barlow aesthetic, and I had a little bit different, but it worked. Ted made these really weird. He did the head crab, that's pretty much the symbol of it all. And I remember taking his head crab and putting it on a scientist and making the zombie. Right. Well, we pretty much we talked, and it's like, okay, you do that, and Ted did the soldiers, I did the scientists. I did a lot of the aliens, and with the Hornet gun, I did the Hornet gun for that one as well too. The alien slave. Well, I did some animations for the bull squid or bull chicken. I have to call him that. But that's a Ted creature there. The hound eye was Ted's as well.
Yeah, a lot of the fleshy. If it's got a lot of flesh on it, maybe too much.
Yeah, that's a Tedism.
You can always tell Ted's designs because they're much more aquarium than aquarium or unspeakables.
Oh, Big Mama! I forgot about Big Mama. Oh God!
It's a testicle, right? It's like
so disturbed.
I concepted a guy in sort of a NASA spacesuit, a scientist guy. He was actually modeled after a couple of programmers I know, big, beefy, bearded Linux programmers, And so that's where the HEV suit sort of emerged out of. There was a lot of desire for not having a space marine or a soldier be the guy. And then Chuck Jones went off and did a pretty different version of him that became known as Ivan the Space Biker.
Oh God. I remember telling myself, it's like anytime you make a screenshot, make sure it's good because you don't know where this is going to appear again.
We didn't know that.
And Ivan is the prime example of that one. Sure, so you're looking at go look at Quake. It's like, okay, I'm looking at that, and he's got this incredibly boxy head. And you're always hearing, don't put too many polys in it. And it's like, okay, so Ivan got the square head. And it was kind of an early, just a rough prototype of a Gordon Freeman baby. And I remember we didn't know what Gordon looked like. So it's like I was looking for somebody, and I found Mike Harrington. It's like, Mike, what does Gordon look like? I don't know. Put yourself in there. Oh, okay. And so I went in and put kind of my likeness on the early Gordon model in the game. And it kind of stayed
there. Did you have a ponytail?
I was ex-tattoo artist, so yeah, I definitely had. I don't have anything to work with now, but yeah, that point I had a ponytail on.
If you play the game, you know that it's Chuck. If you play multiplayer and you see the model, it's clear.
But yeah, if you look on the back of that, there's this little four triangles, and he's got a little ponytail back there. I did the G-Man, and again, that one was
the ponytail.
Gabe was talking about the Cigarette Man from X-Files. So we needed our own equivalent of that.
Because after a while, after playing with the game for a long time, people realized like, hey, we made this character, and just in this one office scene in the beginning, where he's behind the window and he's talking to a scientist or something, and he's like, he looks really creepy. It was late in the day that we thought, oh, okay, well, he's going to be the big bad behind all of this. like scatter him around in places that you can't get to him, but he's there mysteriously.
There wasn't enough in the beginning of the game. It's like, we need another monster. Head crabs weren't enough. It got kind of repetitious. I think I grabbed Ted and said, I need them to do this and this. And so he whipped it out in not much time at all. I'm gonna get the timing just right. And I have no time to do this. I'm just gonna bang it out. And then once it was working, everybody said, oh, let's go back and sprinkle them back in the maps. And that was this.
Because we introduced them a little earlier than we were planning on.
Yeah, because they weren't real tough. They weren't supposed to be tough.
But they were ranged.
But they were ranged, and they were fun, and they had a big show, and like that was showing off a bunch of stuff.
They weren't tough. I beg to differ on hard difficulty.
I remember the assassin came in pretty late.
That was it. It was like, okay, I have a week and a half. It was already done, it was already all modeled, already all animated, and the requirement was it couldn't have any new animations and any new anything. So had to come up, I grabbed a bunch of Steve Bond's AI and banged that thing out. I built a level, super crude, but it had all the right spacing and all the right heights and all the right, geometry.
Again, it's just a presentation where this creature gets to shine, this enemy gets to shine, and is your entire focus for that scene. And it's kind of a memorable experience because it just takes place in a different fashion than other encounters, and you get knocked out, and there's all kinds of the lights go out, and you get dragged through a corridor and things. So again, it's something you remember in the game.
Oh God.
We just did a lot of playtesting and did a lot of level building and used all of the monsters and used everything that we had developed and started seeing which ones kind of stuck out a little oddly. Like we had the Hound Eyes that Ted had concepted and Kelly had done great sounds for them. And so they seemed like a very oddly plausible sort of alien creature. And Chuck did what we called the Panther Eye, which was this big black panther looking creature that also just had a big red eye for his face.
Thank God that wasn't in the game.
And a big shark fin coming out the back. And design-wise, he seemed like this is a very useful creature. It's like when you design things, you like to have a gradient of difficulty, a gradient of escalation in threat. And so if we had these Hound Eyes, then yes, this panther, bigger, scarier looking thing would be more of a threat. It was in the game for a long time and then sort of just worked its way out because folks couldn't find a way to incorporate a creature like that into the environment and make it seem reasonable.
The Stuka Bat was, it was something that I did, just a weird, another creature from the air. We had the chub toad that we were going to use as a feeding animal to help, and they had a mechanic to where they were going to use this to distract monsters so you could possibly get by. And it pretty much reached fruition to where we created the object, but then again, time became the factor and it had to get cut.
I grew up just outside DC, and so there's all these big, really banal office buildings, and that's kind of the direction I went. So it started becoming a facility. And so I started making these kind of linoleum tiles and the drop ceiling, the concrete block wall, the black and white tile floor.
She was the texture artist for for most of the game. Yeah. It's just an overwhelming amount of work.
Originally, I was hand painting all of the textures, and you can really see a shift in some of them where they go from hand painted to photo reference. The photo references are much, much better. So I was all over Seattle, Harbor Island, Gasworks Park, getting rusty metal things. What can I get good pictures of that is vaguely industrial and interesting to look at? And then how can we use this? And so, sides of boxcars, and I don't know how many hallways in Half-Life are the side of a train car kind of thing. The Kirkland Costco, lot of time in the Kirkland Costco, getting just packages of, I don't know why I needed snacks or something.
The first year was all about opportunity, and it wasn't quite as focused. We were finding our footing.
We were getting into the 3 months before supposedly shipping in '97, and it's like, this isn't gelling. This is really not good. This is like, quick knockoff, cash grab, stupid, and let's not do that. There was a lot of disconnect between what all of the different groups were doing, what engineering was doing and what level design was doing and what animation was doing. We had a bunch of monsters that had no plans to get in the game because nobody else was assigned to work on them, and we had a bunch of levels that, like, what's supposed to go in here? Oh, I don't know, everybody's gonna do a bunch of stuff, and like, no, that doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So here we were, all these people doing all these cool things, and just everything's just this random collection of, oh, here's a cool moment and a cool this, and and then it's gone, and oh, now on to the next thing. Because the way we were building the game was, every level designer was kind of his own silo, his own universe. And I think that just grew out of our, kind of mod developer roots, but it wasn't
a team yet.
Cohesive, and it certainly didn't have a strategy for like maximizing any of that stuff.
You must have been in the meeting when we reviewed all the levels. It was like the first time everybody piled into a room,
right?
And Gabe had his crazy Hellraiser chair with the beautiful Mac monitor, and we played for 2 days. He played everyone's levels. But I remember one moment, he turned around, he was like this with his hair. He's going, "We're gonna fail, we're gonna fail, we're gonna fail, we're gonna fail, we're gonna fail." And I was just like, it blew me away. I was like, oh shit, this isn't good.
We were doing our best trying to make this game and the story, and we had a schedule from Sierra, and it was a tight schedule. And we told them, like, we're not going to ship this, and we realized that you're not going to pay us to continue developing this, but we're going to do it anyway.
Late is just for a little while, suck is forever, right? We could try to force this thing out the door, but that's not the company we want to be. That's not the people we want to be. That's not the relationship we want to have with our customers.
And so Kelly and I kind of sat down and sort of tried to take an inventory of all the cool stuff we had built, and why weren't we just, building more on top of that? And those discussions kind of led to us building this kind of design cabal process to try to give some cohesion to the game and kind of changing the way we were approaching it.
And so a cabal was a small group of people, multidisciplinary group. There's like an artists, level designers, engineers, and everything in that. And a small team that would write up a spec for a level. There was the arc that Mark had written, so we knew how that fit into the story.
And we got a small group of people together, and we started with the beginning, and we went through literally what map do we need to build to tell us the story we're going to have to tell. And then what does that connect to, and what's the next piece and the next piece?
The strongest and most influential thing that came out of them was, to me, the sketches. And they were really the visual meeting notes, right?
We came up with a formula for how that worked. We had a certain percentage of the time where you were fighting, a certain percentage of the time where you're exploring, a certain percentage of the time where you're solving puzzles. And so we could apply that uniformly through the game, and that worked pretty well.
Testing. Everything seems to be in order.
Good morning, and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train is provided for the security and convenience of the Black Mesa Research Facility personnel.
The whole opening of the game was specifically a reaction to how all the other first-person shooters were, whether they had cutscenes or not. Like, sometimes they would just open without a cutscene, but you're standing in a room with a gun and there's a thing attacking you. So we could look at examples of all that, and I think there was expectation that that's what Half-Life had to do because every other game was doing it.
I can tell you the number of people who started up the game, were staring at it, and then accidentally bumped their mouse and realized this is live.
Yeah.
And as simple as that sounds, it was mind-blowing for so many people because it was too much going on. This isn't real time, this is a recording,
That was sort of the way we, stumbled through a lot of the new narrative tricks. Was like,
Yeah,
well, what can we do?
1998 is actually pretty
You could do
cool
this
that
in a
you could,
movie
like,
or a
move
story,
around,
but nobody's
see
doing
everything
this in
move.
First-person shooters.
You're this anonymous scientist and you're riding on this train into work and rolled the credits at the beginning. It was kind of like a cinematic experience almost. Like, I don't think games had really gone down that road. It's so funny to look at it now because it's so primitive, but at the time it felt like you were really in this Black Mesa world.
Pre-disaster survived from the first year, so a lot of that geometry was from that first version of the game, but in a very minimal way, right? Just the basic style of some of the hallways, the curved corners in the hallways, things like that. They more became sort of like Lego pieces that John could use and stitch together and extrude. And I know Brett did a lot of the raw geometry from pre-disaster, and then John did most of the work to ship it, and then the post and the train ride was all John, I think.
The Sector C, so those are heavily influenced by NASA control rooms, with my favorite green Hammerite, really influenced a lot of like we started with the kind of the consoles. I'm trying to remember, and then there was just lots of hallways and people were getting lost, and I did the color stripes to help people follow them places.
One of the things that was actually super exciting was how quotidian a lot of it really was. You know, the lunchroom with the microwave, you press the button and it would go splat.
My God, what are you doing?
No.
Yeah, all this work so you can start a microwave and blow up some soup, which was a reference to real life, because that happened regularly. Like, we regularly accidentally blew up.
Laidlaw mostly, wasn't it?
There were a few people who were just, you know, challenged with kitchen appliances, and you know, at one point we had a company fire. we had a lot of things going on in that kitchen.
All of that stuff had a real kind of eloquence that in the late 90s, in a world where everything was so over the top, you know, but we still got to go on flights of fancy.
Welcome to the HEV Mark IV.
I think like a super pivotal moment for me was when we came in this one morning and we saw the test chamber sequence that Kelly and John Guthrie and Wedge was in that office, and Dario Driller, they were all in this corner dark office where so much cool stuff happened. But so Kelly and John stayed up all night and did the test chamber sequence, and it's pretty much like the one we shipped.
I mean, that was a lot of what went on in that room that we called the submarine. It was just improvisation, you know, just what can we do to solve this problem? How do we connect what's happening before to what's happening after? This needs to be somehow important, but we just don't know what to do. John and I talked about it. I went home that night and I sort of sketched out, like, you know, maybe we could do something cinematic. We'll take the camera away, we'll turn the lights off, we'll do sounds, we'll just throw everything we can at it. You know, we built that basically that day. You know, it was just a sort of a one-day throw it together. That's how fast we were moving.
They had audio, right? We had
Yeah,
the script.
yeah, it's like the heartbeat and the breathing, all that stuff was in there. And I played through it and it was like, damn, I have not seen this in any medium, in anything before, experienced something like this, where this immersive experience of this actually happening like this. And at that point, it's like, okay, I see what it is we're doing. And it's this kind of immersive, unbroken experience that happens to you, the player. And then that was this key principle about how, you know, we never take you out of that role.
Personally, the difference between before the disaster sequence and after the disaster sequence, I felt we really had, I had an understanding that this product was going to be special, or it was going to be possible, it was going to be tied together. Whereas before that, there was a lot of really good stuff and a lot of little things all disconnected. But you guys managed to tie two very different parts of the game together really well, and I thought, oh, okay, now I feel like we're on a track for finishing this product. To me, it shifted my brain to have a lot of confidence that this product's coming together rather than just generating a lot of content that exists independently of other content.
One of the ways we were funding our development was we sold a preview copy of Half-Life 2, a video card company, I forget which one. And so they had in their contract that we had to deliver it to them by a certain date. And we got like the first 3 levels done for them. It was really a good milestone for us, just, you know, from working as a company, because hey, there was a deliverable. We got it done. And, you know, we shipped it off to them. And then I swear the next day it leaked. And I was just livid at first, which was stupid. But I was just like, oh, I can't believe you guys let this get out. Like, you know, this wasn't us, you know. And then it turned into something amazing where people started playing it. And it was all over, and we started, you know, seeing it, you know, online, what people were thinking about it. And I forget which magazine who said, usually we don't review, you know, beta software, but they reviewed it and said, this is awesome. And that gave us a tremendous amount of confidence. You know, it was an outside validation of what we were trying to do, you know, that it was the right thing.
So leaks
I think
can be
this
good.
was first-person shooters already they were kind of like the vowels of weapons you put into first person. You got to have a shotgun, and there's obviously a pistol. You know, you need your weapon that's going to make you struggle and you drive you to get another weapon.
That was a lesson in how to make all of your weapons as orthogonal as possible, so each one did something completely different. All of the crazy weapons, those are my fault. So I did like the rocket launcher and the Gauss gun and the snarks.
The freaking snarks, man.
Oh, I like snarks. Snarks always made me laugh. It was just always funny to watch people run away from the snarks.
The squeak grenade.
Yeah,
it's
that
called the
was great.
snark, but
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted something, a little creature that you could bring up and hold, and you could throw it out, and it would just start running.
I'm pretty
Because
sure
people were
that's the
camping, and
idea
everybody hated
for
campers at
the
that point.
antlion
So you wanted the
bait.
anti-camp weapon. But it was
From
kind of,
Half-Life
you
2.
could literally find a little hidey hole and just sit out there and just throw out 30 of them. And they're all over the map. I had a cat, and you'd sit there and you do your finger blue. Yeah, you do your finger towards him, and he'd get mad at you and he'd swat. So that was the inspiration for that particular animation. And then the other, that big alien creature with the, we needed some kind of alien weapon. Drew that one, built that one, animated that one, but that was also another one that would, whenever you could get in a corner and just shoot them
Honestly,
in the
I
air because
never
the
really
hornets would
understood this
track.
gun.
I think that was the biggest thrill, is brainstorming these with your crew, making them, building them, putting them in the game.
I feel like it
and
never
then
really
playing
did
with
damage
them,
on
and then
hard
they're
difficulty.
fun.
So there's sort of a trope of having a melee weapon. I think it was Steve Bond and Ken Birdwell and I were saying we wanted a device where the world was reacting to you. It really goes back to that theory of fun. But we were just running around like idiots, smacking the wall. It's an odd thing to know in retrospect, but at the time it felt profoundly satisfying to be able to smack walls. And that was just an example of how that fairly abstract notion of what fun was ended up translating into a set of decisions that were really visceral. When you're going around whacking a wall, a crowbar is an obvious thing to whack the wall with.
Single person, that does. No!
If the sound could let you know what's going to happen, that's really makes it powerful. So we're always on the lookout for that in level design, in monster design, communicating, because the AI is often hidden from the player. So we use the sound to broadcast the internal state of the AI. You know, soldiers, they tell you, I'm injured, I'm going to throw a grenade, I'm taking cover. You know, they are broadcasting as constantly as they can what's about to happen. So it was really important to try to keep those states distinct so that as you play the game, you're actually, whether you're aware of it or not, you're starting to be able to tell what's about to happen.
We knew he was a musician too, so he could do sounds, but you know, he also decided he was going to write the sound engine. And then he wrote the soundtrack. And he'd never written a soundtrack before, and he wrote the whole, you know, soundtrack for the game, and it won an award, and it was crazy.
There just weren't that many of us. You know, I had a little bit of a background playing music. I understood the sound engine really well, so it was really easy for me to just hook sounds in, and I understood enough about the level design side that I could kind of connect those things a little bit. The sounds could come from anywhere. And then I just heavily modified them. Usually those are animal sounds, reversing, changing the pitch, chopping them up and rearranging them. Head crabs were rats. The little squeaky, yeah, that's a rat slowed way, way down and then reversed.
Yeah, the DSP stuff was another cool thing that Kelly built. When you got an event, it sounded like you were an event, and that wasn't really happening, I guess, at least in Quake and other games I was playing back then.
You know, we had these huge silos, these cavernous spaces. The day they had their own echoey DSP, it made an enormous difference, right? You believed the space.
Kelly tells me, oh God, Chuck Jones asked him if the characters could speak and have their mouths move. And Kelly said, you know, that's super easy. You know, I could just look at the audio and see if they're talking and do that. But like getting their mouth to move is stupid, he says to me. And I look, Chuck Jones told me the same thing. I told him making the mouths move was super trivially easy, but knowing when they're talking and knowing how to follow the envelope of the speech would be impossible. And Kelly and I just both looked at each other and like, oh. And so I went back to my office and he went back to his office. And I think within an hour, the characters were talking and their mouths were moving. And it was only because we sat there at lunch bitching about an animator who was 100% right.
Why are you leaving me here?
Scientist conversations, Kelly and I made that. When they're next to each other, one scientist will occasionally play a question and the other one will give him an answer. And it's not a script, you know? It just it might not always make sense.
I am rather looking forward to this analysis, aren't you? I don't think so.
But it had a bunch of personality. It was really cool. And I worked on getting those guys to look at you and turn their heads.
When we first added the ability for scientists to respond to the player and other things in the environment, I would call them response rules. The first time that went in, they came flying down the elevator, and one of them looks at you and goes, "Oh, hello, Gordon." And then they explode into a pile of jibs at the bottom.
Hello, the Automatic Diagnostic and Announcement System welcomes you to the Black Mesa Research Facility. Remember, have a secure day.
Yeah, for his first year of development, all of the designers had been building geometry in isolation. It's like a wild process had been formed. They had to work together to stitch those levels into a single cohesive play experience.
I hadn't really started working on the biggest part of the game, which I ended up shipping, which was surface tension. Prior to then, a lot of the work that I had done was the Alien Research Labs, which turned into questionable ethics, and all of that was ditched. There were some concepts made it through, but everything was rebuilt from zero. But you know what did make it through was Power Up. Yeah, basically that geometry survived completely intact. It was so closely designed for that creature that because the creature survived, the levels survived along with it. Yeah, there's this sort of central circular thing where you have to rotate the train and you have to kill the Gargantua first because he was always defending the way out. And then you have to go to like another area which looks very much like it was designed for Quake, because pretty much it was. There was a flooded pump room and you have to drain the generator and then you can switch the power on and then you could take the train out. Yeah, I remember him being totally central to this whole thing. And then, well, how do we block the player, which is, I mean, that's pretty much like design point number one for all level design. Okay, well, how do we prevent the player from just walking straight out through the exit? And you design backwards from there.
In the first year, we built a lot of world space, a lot of track, as we call it, and the programmers would try to fit the AI into the existing maps. What we did the second year was we built the AI in very constrained environments that showcase the AI. Let's make the ideal space for the AI and then give that to the level designers to incorporate those elements into their map so that it worked better and was more interesting. And that Gargantua was an example of that. And the grunts especially.
Yeah, we had the AI that Steve had been working on, and he had designed all these interesting encounters with them just in his test map. And so he had had them up high and down low, and so basically we just sort of re-leveraged that and say, okay, let's start with the player comes in low, and there's a Marine on the same level, and then the next one they're up high, and then they come running down. Because it was really neat to see them retreat. They'd try to run back up the stairs and try to flank you from another side.
So Steve Bond, like I mentioned earlier, was this really young guy who had been making mods in QuakeC, really the designer for so much of the AI. I mean, all the stuff that's good about the soldiers, the grunts you fight in Half-Life.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a language we could sort of use to say, you know, this is a place they can climb. This is a place they can jump to. This is a good place to hide. These are good places to go in general, or interesting places. So, you know, the AI had a little bit of help. We were trying to build something that utilized, you know, the train technology that Jay was working on. And we thought, well, let's give the player something that they can control, but in a limited way. We couldn't do vehicles like you see in Half-Life 2. So we did this, the most constrained vehicle we could think of, which was the train. Players didn't always bring the train with them. And so you had a bunch of these poor people walking down these tunnels.
Oh, is that why you electrified the
And
rail?
yeah, and the rails were, that was part of the
Kept
feedback.
dying from that.
Part of the feedback was, well, you can just bypass all that, so we made the rails electric. It's like, well, maybe that'll teach them to bring the train with them. But the basic idea is, you know, let's explore that, and then also reveal some of the hidden deep parts of the base, you know, the abandoned areas where you might get a lot more of the Zen creatures. You know, we had designed some of the ones that didn't make it into the game to appear there, you know, bats that would dive bomb you, and while you're on the train, yeah, Stuka bats, and then we also tried hard to not make it feel like it was this super linear thing, so we tried to give little branches, and so there were some challenges there.
Well, there's a really good sketch that Kelly Bailey made, which basically charted surface tension, and it was pretty extensive. Like, it went through the cliffside, and it went through areas where tanks were, and like a lot of soldier holdouts. Yeah, it even went through the desert with the cactuses and the helicopters, and then across a dam. It was pretty extensive. Yeah, when I saw that sketch, I was so motivated to just start building all of that stuff.
So I ran ahead with a lot of level design, a lot of geometry, and it seems like a lot of it stuck in some way or another, which is really amazing. I did the dam, which was funny. I just did that in a day. Right. Like, it was like about 4 or 5 hours. I did a Hoover Dam thing because I like the Hoover Dam.
I saw a concept of the
Was it called
cliffside.
Bullfrog?
I think Harry Teasley built that render of the skybox. Yes. And I just thought, holy crap, this is perfect for Vertigo. Like, whatever we do here, we have to play on Vertigo and like narrow little ledges and, you know, places you would like to normally dodge a grenade that you can't.
And that's the moment. That's really the big part of that level, is that reveal. And the play is kind of supports it afterward. Yeah. The helicopter comes in, you're fighting the helicopter, which is awesome.
First of all, I had a bunch of textures, and then every time I made new ones, whoever was working on the new levels would be like, oh, fresh textures, I'm going to use those. Somebody making another level would start using them, and I was like, no, this is chaos. We need to restrict this. So I started naming the texture sets by the level that they were made for. I was trying to enforce some sort of like visual cohesion, and so that really ended up working.
There was one level I did, it was the introduction of the sort of the bounce pads, the alien bounce pads in the real world. Because, you know, story-wise, like, okay, you're getting closer to hitting the alien world. So I was, well, let's get a little bit of alien world infection into the real world. So I had done it just as a visual thing. John Guthrie made it 10 times better. And that's actually where he found the photo of my daughter, because I didn't put my daughter in Gordon's locker. I hid her in like this destroyed office someplace, you know, as a little Easter egg for myself. And John went and put my daughter's photo in Gordon's locker, which I think was a good decision.
I still get questions about stuff that I spent 5 minutes on 25 years ago from people who've now thought about this for 25 years, and they're thinking that there's 25 years worth of development went into this. I'm like, on some level, when you start talking about lore, I'm like, well, there's Black Mesa. That was just a matter, we needed a name for something that was evocative.
In that entrance, when you get off the train and there's that lobby where there's a big map on it, and when we were making that map, that was fairly early on, I put a dot in New Mexico. And then that turned into, I think Mark saw that, he was like, oh, where is that? This is where we are. And then he named it Black Mesa.
That is a favorite thing of mine, actually. If you come up with a name for something and it evokes something, then you don't have to write the whole story. It's because it's a conspiracy.
Did it say
plot.
Mesa Diablo?
Everybody knows more about it than you do, so you don't have to answer those questions. You just keep raising questions and make the mystery kind of thing.
Like dialogue came in later. Also, a lot of the scripted sequences came in later, and those helped to kind of sharpen the storytelling aspect of it, because, I mean, setting expectations to get up to the surface and then like, oh no, they're not here to help us.
The whole thing about diegetic writing, right? Like keeping the exposition in the game instead of outside the game. You know, I give a lot of credit to Mark.
After playtests, we'd realized that maybe you need more of a dialogue cue about something.
That's when we started to do like scientists who were literally pop up in a corner and go that way. There's a few of those that we stuck in right at the end when we'd like, well, we get one more session with Hal. He can say, go down here, you know, go around that corner.
Well, so much for the government. Their idea of containment is to kill everyone associated with the project. Judging from your hazard suit, I'd say you were part of what went wrong.
I knew Hal from San Francisco as an artist, cartoonist. He was also an animator and an actor in some science fiction movies. So when we got down to the wire, we did a bunch of voice casting and nothing was right. And I just kept thinking of Hal. And I finally just called him and said, Hal, I want you to at least talk to people here so they can hear your voice. And I got him on a speakerphone, and I had a bunch of people gathered in my office. And I'm like, okay, Hal, everybody's here. And he's like, well, what would you like me to say? And everybody is like, this is him. This is the guy.
Why do we all have to wear these ridiculous ties?
Another interesting voice thing was the G-Man. So we liked Mike Shapiro's work. So we knew we wanted to use him, but we brought him in to do Barney and also the G-Man. So we did a take on all the G-Man lines with kind of a straight voice, and it was thinking that, okay, we have something safe, but we're not super excited about it, and give us something else. And he does this crazy lizard voice.
The border world, then, is in our control for the time being, thanks to you. Quite a nasty piece of work you managed over there. I am impressed.
And we took it back, and everybody just loved the crazy lizard voice, and so that's how it worked out.
Did you do the Nihilanth?
I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Nihilanth. Just imagine his head floating in space as a baby.
When the final one, the team was scrambling to get it finished.
I went into Gabe's office and I demanded Gabe to either fire Ken or I quit. And Gabe just laughed at me.
Correct response from Gabe.
Yeah, I was like,
oh. Until Bill got there, I was the oldest guy there. It was hard because, you know, I had to go home in the evenings, whereas the young guys who just moved out from Florida or wherever, they did not have to go home in the evenings. I'd go home, see my kids. When they were in bed, I would come back down the hill to Valve. Nobody else I worked with had to get up to get their kids off to school in the morning, but I did.
You're wired to just take full advantage of the situation. You put everything into it. So when we say we worked 18-hour days, that's no exaggeration.
Yeah.
Not at all. I can edit all day. I can design all day. I don't have to worry about anything. You know, two guys from Microsoft start a game studio with a bunch of incredibly capable, with an incredible team. You're gonna push yourself harder than ever before.
I don't usually crunch real hard. I get it done in I come in, I work, I go home, and a lot of people were living really long hours. The classic. Well, I'll come in at 1 and then goof around for a while and then work late into the late at night. I was employee 17. There was a woman that was the kind of the office manager, and eventually Mona Lisa Guthrie came in at the desk. I was the only woman on the team. That was not awesome.
I decided to become a baseball fan.
Oh boy.
Here after the birth of my first daughter, so she's the one in Gordon's locker, Isabel, but she's very special needs. She's 25 today. Cognitively she's about 3 years old. So after her birth, in the middle of Half-Life production, it was really hard. It was really hard because we were getting about 2 hours of sleep at a stretch because she had to be fed through a tube in her stomach every 2 hours. I had just a difficult time relating to the world when she was a baby. I had a hard time just talking to people because I was just kind of tired and angry all the time. Yeah, my wife, she worked at Valve for a while. She did a bunch of textures for the game. Like I said, she did those soda machines. She did just a bunch of level textures. She textured Big Mama, the sort of boss creature. She textured him. But when Isabel arrived, she obviously had a lot of issues. So Yachts had to stop working and stay with her at home. And it was the last year of Half-Life, and we pretty much crunched that whole year. So I was at work a lot. It was hard. It was definitely a hard year.
Oh boy.
Games have often had this thing where they're just a little too attached to Star Wars, Blade Runner, Aliens. So it wasn't that hard to try to get people to go, let's think of something really alien. Like what Zen was initially was you're gonna go inside a huge alien organism and kill it or figure out how to turn it on or off or something like that. I didn't know we couldn't actually do that or what was involved.
What does it mean to have alien architecture or a planet that's biologically defining the structures in it, as opposed to what the tools we're good at, which is making rectangles?
And then slowly it scaled back till it was more and more corridors, and that everybody was really good at.
People were finishing up stuff and I was still working on Zen because it was like it went through a lot of iteration, or at least we're trying to figure out what it was. Different people were taking swings at it, either in static
Weren't you
concepts.
under a bit of a timeline crunch for it as well?
Yeah, it was the end of the game.
Yeah.
I wanted to cut stuff out and they're like, no, leave it in. I'm
Right.
like, yeah, but I don't have any support for this. Right. And then after a lot of it was built, is like, oh yeah, we're gonna change the gravity and give you a jump pack. That came later. And I was like, ah.
There's a lot of stuff, especially in Zen, where you're getting close to a first draft of some things, right? Because we just didn't have time, and we got to the end of the game, and so we considered not going to Zen, but the art concepts people did were so cool.
For the Zen textures, I was deeply inspired by electron microscope imagery, and we had so much of that regular structural texture material that I wanted to do something more organic. Insects as well. I think there's a lot of textures that were based on beetles. That was really fun, and incredibly challenging levels to make because that editor was not friendly for organic shapes.
I built the little behaviors for the tree that hits you if you get too close, and the light stalk that kind of hides. But Ken did a bunch of AIs there, the floating controller guys.
And the flying guys were great, but you had to set up air nodes for them to travel properly. I prototyped a lot, and some of those prototypes were used in the final battle, I believe, and also for the Gonard, which I think Randy did.
We, at some point, have to stop polishing. At some point, we have to, it is what it is. And if the player hasn't had fun up until that point, well, then we failed. They're not going to get to that point, so who cares? It just has to finish, and it did.
Yeah, and there's always Half-Life 2 to win them back.
I love that sensation of being alone in an alien dimension, but the experience that people really liked in the game was scientists pop up and Barney pops up and you have companions and you have this feeling of companionship around you with all the other stuff that's going on. So a lot of people miss that, which I understood, and I think if we'd had thought about the ending from the beginning, we would have figured out some ways to do that a little more.
After it was released in video game stores around the world, are they gonna show celebrate? Most of the team and the families went on a vacation to Mexico.
I remember coming back from downtown Cabo very drunk and then running to the beach, but didn't know there was like a 6-foot retaining wall there, so I just went right over. And then I was hurting so much I slept the night where I fell. Yeah, I woke up the next morning.
I had
and it was
never
like
heard
a
that
really
story.
stiff neck.
Oh my God. It's a good thing you were pretty young.
I remember after we'd gone final on the game, I was home one morning, taking a shower, and my wife asked me, like, it's done. Is it any good? Is the game any fun? And I don't know. Like, I hope so.
I don't think it's exaggerating by saying if any one of the crew had disappeared for a month, we wouldn't have shipped. It didn't matter who they were. Everybody was mission critical.
My inspiration from Valve, what I really took away with me was that the thing that is most important to me is what are we making? Coming in as a texture artist, you don't have a lot of expectation that you're going to get to influence that. And I was able to have quite a bit of influence on the what.
It was so fun to work with the people who were making Half-Life. The collection of people were diverse, at least like in their professional backgrounds, was kind of all over the place. And so figuring out how to work with all those people, but also just the fact that we had hired really stellar people who were good at collaborating, like the conscientious people, deeply passionate about what they wanted to create. That just was a recipe for a professionally, like, really good time.
It seems to me that one of the things that good games do is make 2 games worth of stuff and then throw away the bad game. And fortunately, like, Valve was able to do that. A lot of companies couldn't do that, but backstopped by Gabe and Mike, Valve could afford to do that.
I always have absolutely nothing interesting to say when people say, would you reflect on your legacy? Like, I really don't look back a whole lot. I'm always excited by the future, right? So to me, it's like I can look back at the things we did, but to me, they're just sort of like the stepping stones to what we're going to be able to do in the future. That's just how I'm wired, right?
Ah. Oh shit. Blue shift, isn't it? It must be the other. I forgot what it was called. Opposing forces. Team Fortress. Oh wait, that one game, wasn't that one game, what's it called? I forgot what it was called. Day of Defeat. That's not very nice. Ivan and the Space Biker, Ivan the Space Biker and friends now available in the Half-Life Deathmatch game. As a skin, probably. It's kind of cool. But yeah, it was nice. It's good. One moment. I'm gonna comment on this in a moment. I just be back. Alrighty. So yeah, that was actually really nice. And 2 million watches already. Nice. So it's always nice to see like how a company kind of developed, or like how they started basically. Yeah. But at the same time, you could say it's also kind of sad to hear that they also went through crunch time. It's not like, I mean, I feel like in certain or like industries, it's like normal to have some crunch. But obviously, hearing them like say there was like a full year of crunch. But I mean, yeah, now you could say at least they were young and not old, like they are now. Because I'm pretty sure they couldn't have done this. Like, if this was like, if they would have made Half-Life nowadays, same tech and all, but they were this year old, I doubt they would have like done it. I feel. I think you can only do stuff like this when you have like a young team or like a yeah, not too old team basically. But it was still fun watching this. I didn't say much, I know, but it's like, I mean, obviously this is like a documentary, so it's like it makes more sense to like just let them talk and then maybe comment on it afterwards. But yeah, good shit. Good shit. And now for Half-Life 3, maybe. But now for the games, actually. I'm just gonna play that one game I played the other day, which is called Death Must Die. I actually forgot if I muted the music in game. Probably not. Let's see. Wait, how do you swap characters again? I forgot. Shit. Because I didn't really like this character. It was like my issue with her. I don't want to play with him again. Unless I have to play with her. I think I might have to play with her. Oh well, whatever.
Remember that without me, you are nothing.
Calm down, Quorum. Your attacks become stronger and knock back enemies. Your dash damages and knocks back enemies. Rotating blades. Rampage strike. Mama. Relics, spell speeds, +1 alteration dice. Enemies you hit shoot shurikens. Hey Alex, another Vampire Survivors clone. Pretty much. Well, it's now mixed with Hades mechanics.
Lagon, God of Lightning, at your service. Strange. This opening usually shocks mortals at least a little. Summer beat me to it, right? Unbefitting of a god to be unpunctual, especially one such as myself. Never mind, that's quite like me, actually. No one can predict a lightning bolt.
True. Your dash turns you into a damaging ball of lightning. You can't attack during this state. Lightning bolt. Whenever you traverse a certain distance, lightning bolts fall onto nearby enemies. Brevity. Your spell speeds and cooldowns are faster.
I'm a fire starter.
Meow. Meow, meow, meow. Chains of War. Oh yeah, I finally found my capture card, so I can finally get back to my PlayStation 3. Or my Switch. Which is funny because all I can think of, you know, MGS2, okay, is still my favorite, probably my favorite game of all time when it comes to single player games. But when it comes to playing, all I can think of is MGS4.
Still stuck in that graveyard?
Lightning orbs spawn on the battlefield. They explode after a limited duration or immediately if you attack them. It's not good. I didn't wait too much. ore. Now, do more damage to enemy barriers. Yeah. These creatures spawn. Does this mean there's a like a dude here that spawns them in? Ah.
The everlasting thrill of battle. Ah, the life you're living, mortal.
Calm down, buddy. Shuriken. Shuriken. Oh shit, next boss. Ah! More damage. And lightning bolt. Burning enemies leave a fire where they die. I'm gonna go with this one. Ow. Shit. I'm dead. No. Rampage was the best one. Back. Defeat the Baron with each character, unlock a sign, the sign of the disciple. How do you do? Go fish someplace else. Wait, I wasn't. Never mind. Have to carry any cool books up here? Why the fuck would I carry books to the freezing peak of this goddamn mountain? Must be fun at parties. Says the bookworm. I forgot how you swap people. see. Controls. Entrance where I came from. No, no, no. Not looking down there. Cool scenery. Too cool. Must go back to fire. Cool scenery. Need to go again before fire. Dude, let me swap. What do you swap in this game? I guess I can't because I don't know. Oh wait, wasn't? Ah, here. Okay, found it. There we go. Wait. Okay, let me press all the buttons. Sign of fire. Get 40 summons with Marus. Defeat the gargoyles on the 20 seconds with Nixie. Win an attempt at 3 difficulty with Nixie. Deal a total of 2000 crit damage. Win an attempt with Mord, Serendipity, Blessing with Nixie. And get 4 dashes with Nixie. You saw about a cat. Oh! Oh, thank you. Hi, Kikuma. How you doing? I want her. Do I want her? I want her. I like Lena more than the Phantom Assassin. This is my favorite track. There's only 2, but this one is, I don't know, a banger. They get Booba, understand? Oh my god, I just realized she has Booba physics.
Bones to ashes.
That's not the one I wanted. Your attacks become stronger and apply burning. Whenever an enemy starts attacking you, every few attacks you breathe fire. Too vengeful. Oh right, this one went through. Kind of weird though, like how many of these vampire survivor likes have spawned, and each still like
there is only
fun.
One God of War. You would do well to remember that, should you aspire for more.
Isn't the only God of War Mars? You're not Mars. I know there's another God of War, but who actually was the other God of War? And no, I'm not talking Kratos. I know Mars was Ares. Okay. Wait, was it? Wait, no, wasn't. I think Mars was like a different.
Greetings to you, champion.
I am the arbiter of justice. It is a pleasure to finally meet.
Well, hello there.
Death has wronged both your kind and mine, and for this he must face the law. Will you help me carry out the sentence?
With you any day. Lol. Mars was Roman, Ares was Greek. Oh yeah, it was Ares, okay. Who was... Wait, what was Jupiter again? Oh wait, no, Jupiter is also Roman, right? So, yeah, okay. Right. I forgot. Like the Roman gods are all named. Oh well, the planets are basically all named after the Roman gods. Kind of. Is the game fun? I mean, it's as much fun as any other Vampire Survivor game, I would say. So, to me, yes. But I like it. It fuses the Vampire Survivor gameplay with Hades-style leveling, if that makes sense. Your dash gives you reduced attack movement penalty for a limited duration. Divine Shield prevents the next time you would take damage. The cooldown of this blessing is reduced by your damage resistance instead of cooldown reduction. So this one would actually be good on my on the shield dude, because I'm pretty sure he has a lot of damage resistance. I need to play Holocure and embrace my inner weeb. Nah. Whenever an enemy starts attacking you, there's a chance your attacker becomes smited. After affected takes 30 damage and becomes stunned. Affected can't do anything. I feel like Divine Shield is still the best choice here. If I knew my stats. Aha. Wait, where's damage resistance? So 13.8% damage resistance. But that doesn't really tell me how much. Planets were named after the Roman gods, like the famous Roman god HD 4037. Yeah. Exactly. Have you never heard about that one? Jeez. Education, buddy. Guess you need to go back to school. Exactly. I'm gonna go with this one. You know what's funny? I didn't even realize she had jiggle physics until you pointed it out. The lewdness. I blame chat. Vengeful Strike. Combust. When you kill a number of burning enemies, an explosion. Ooh, yes, combust. Welcome. This girl needs what's it called? Movement speed though. It's slow. Especially when she fires stuff. Or like when she attacks. Now I got attacked. Which is good. Now I have to just not take damage for like 30 seconds.
Justice is best served with an executioner's.
Okay, now I actually need to know Crom. Is that actually a god? Crom Cruach was a pagan god of pre-Christian Ireland. Interesting.
Lord.
But he was written differently. Shuriken. Although, might have been a bad choice. I don't know. Slime time. Bum, 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 bum. Damn. Insane damage for now. Your armor is increased, restore more life from heals. No! Ah! Fuck you. Man, come on. Because we can defeat him, right? I sure hope so. Is this bitch still gonna be a bitch? Probably. What do you want again? Also thinking if you had my fire, you wouldn't be so cold. Ha ha. That was actually funny. Look, I think we got off on the wrong foot. Must have been yours. I'll leave you alone then. Man, she's cold. Okay, let's see. Inventory. Spell critical chance. Shot pull. Shot pull. Shot pull and spell damage. +1 revival. No. Okay. Okay. Let's go. I got this. Oh, it's the other track now. Run over. Oh, this time no voice acting. It's been interesting seeing time so perplexed. They've never interacted with mortals before. Your attacks become stronger and resolve cursed statuses. Whenever you kill an enemy, there's a chance that it spawns a weak experience shot. Cursed enemies have a higher chance. Every few attacks, shoot at sickles. Did I get to have a chance to spawn phantoms? This one. So there's this combo that I want to get. Now that I have the chance to get mod abilities. So the next one would be getting, I think Deadly, whatever the fuck it was called.
Remember our deal. Do not fail me, mortal.
And then there's one where, actually, I have to get, so there's one ability, or like one perk, that if an enemy dies because of curse, you get more damage.
Blazing.
I don't want you. Whenever you every trip. Okay, let's do this one. I heard Holocure is pretty good though, right? Your text. Oh wait, this one. Fuck. I know weep and all, but should still good. Dash rain, spawn ravens. You've only seen bits, but you've heard it's pretty cool. It's free. Oh, it's free? Oh, here it is, Mayhem. So yeah, if you have this one, and now let them die because of the curse, you get damage. It's not much, but I mean, it's permanent, right? So if I'm actually getting far, what I just can't do now is kill the ones that are cursed, because otherwise it won't count as like a kill. I did it again, as a kill because of the curse. Which is why I need the third perk, which allows me to kill them. Fuck it again. Oh, shit. Rampage strike. I forgot which game was also on my list. Oh yeah, I guess was some more Risk of Rain maybe.
again.
I do believe Conquest can change for the better if only he focused on his good sides. Determination is a wonderful trait. You will certainly use his talents more virtuously though. So I basically want to have this ability very early, because obviously the later game goes, it takes longer to kill enemies, and Curse obviously is not omega strong. I think later on. Or like it takes too much time to wait for the Curse to do anything. Bitch.
Getting warmer.
Shut up. Burning enemies leave fire where they die. Where am I at? 16.9% more damage.
All my family is quite cold. I'm rather cool, though.
Funny girl. Ah, shit. Ooh, what the fuck? All damage you deal and take is increased. Your knockback effects are more potent. I mean... You know how it is with damage, you take it. Even with the drawback. You know what? I kind of feel like setting up my capture card after the stream and playing MGS4 tomorrow. Trapped. MGS4. Well, sorry, watch MGS4.
Help you? Well, we're not exactly helping you. It's your own fate. You're the one sowing it. We're just...
Ooh, this is actually good. But it's also good. Is that one? No, it's not yet. I'm kinda hoping it will. But we still have to wait.
You know how some say death is only the beginning? On a long enough timeline, it's true. I only wish my father would see it so.
So not the one I won, but I could reroll, but nope. But right now on PC out is Metal Gear 1, 2 and Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3. And the SNES, I think it's SNES version of Metal Gear, which was called Snake's Revenge. And some other cool stuff. Unfortunately though, well, it's not that great as of now. Like, it needs some fixes. And with some fixes, I mean a lot of fixes. At least from what I've gathered from watching Outer Heaven Network and like checking out MGS, was it MGS2? I think it was MGS2 that I like checked out for just like a short moment. No, that's not surprised. To be fair, like that's what basically Street Dog said on the collection. Like, it gives you the feel that there are people behind the collection that actually care for the series, right? And like giving you the best possible experience. But they still manage to mess it up and make people who already played the games on for example the PlayStation 3 still having to recommend you basically buy a PlayStation 3 if you want the best experience. If though in some way they could figure out having pressure sensitivity working on PC in some way, then maybe the PC version will turn out to be like the best possible experience. Although, since we're on PC now, we have modding, so maybe someone who's really good at modding can actually make it work. But right now we're not there yet, so yeah. You raise skeletons, your attacks hits. Lifelink. Damage per second. I think it's time for... It's not time yet. I thought it was time for... what's it called? The next... jellies. Creating your own path now too. Speak not to me of the fates, meddlesome little rascals. More damage. Why not? Oh yeah, where am I at with my damage? Steel. 38%. I think this one is too strong though. This ability, it gives you permanent damage. And it does huge amounts of damage, although you have to wait a little bit until it does actually its damage. I think it's too strong. Needs a nerf. Combust. Sure. So there's one. Ow! Oh, got the slimes. I don't know why I said jellies earlier. I mean, they are jelly, but... I'm not getting it. Like the insta-death one. Holy shit! That was a lot of affected slimes. So there's one. I guess it's the first I've gotten so far. And it's not over yet either. War Pact. Erase skeletons. Every few attacks shoot out sickles. Necromancer. You're kidding, right? Like... Lol. Let's try it one more time. Shit. Well, I'm gonna do this one. There's so much XP lying around on this map. I need to find like a magnet. Shit. Nice. I really wonder when Konami will announce the next collection and what it will include. Because right now the only game that will like what I can think of is definitely Peace Walker. But what would the other games be? Like I like if they only go for one game, that'd be so weird. Especially after like they threw almost everything at the first collection. I'm gonna die! I'm gonna... I didn't just get hit. No.
Playing with fire, huh?
Fuck off. Fine. Oh god. This ain't good. I have now the shield dudes against me. Ugh! No! Damn. How much damage did I get? 89% damage on top. Bullshit. Oh! Who are you? I'm a knight of the Order of Penance, barbarian. Penance? I pass, metal man. I go kill death. Wait, you'll only find your own death in there. Allow me to explain what's going on here. Hi, I'm Maros. Kont, why you kill Death? Oh, why do you wanna kill him? Okay, I get. No one say their reasons. Ooh. The sign of the hero. And the sign of the chosen one. See what he can do. Oh shit. Summon damage, spell critical chance. So there's a fifth character. Skulls of the enemies. No, it's the other track again. Oh shit. Spin to win.
Death must die.
Roll credits. Ooh, it changed colors. Nice.
I see you are bearing the blessings of Crom. Know this, hero. Destruction is a double-edged sword.
Heal back a percentage of the... Whenever an enemy damages you, you heal back a percentage of the damage you were dealt. And deal the enemy's damage back to its multiplied before reduction. Okay. Baby. I already said it on Discord, but I will probably, I mean, I could stream on Saturday, but it will definitely not be Cyberpunk because...
The problem with the law is that it's heartless. I've faced justice before for my actions, and I do it again.
Family dinner. So, you know. I am gonna play Cyberpunk on that day. Maybe I just do like a regular stream instead. I don't know. Ah, so I guess this guy gets access for weapons. Bust. Yeah, I can also do Hitman Friday this week as well because of I think that's gonna be a new elusive target. Could use Warpath, but you would generate life every second. Great that I get these defensive things on the freaking Barbarian and not on the Knight. But I ain't complaining. No, I'm not complaining. Definitely not complaining. Ow. You heal back a percentage. And I could have done the Divine Shield, but dude. Shuriken. This is one alteration. Shuriken. Bullshit!
Let the lady write her judgment in ink while we spill it in blood.
Calm down. Warp Act. I'm so dead. No. I knew it. Back to entrance. Never say my name, Knight. I'm Gront. You just did. Huh? Never mind. Come to kill Death. Why? What do you mean? Isn't it obvious? What isn't? Wait, who doesn't want to kill Death? Ah, the Scroll of Conquest. This I can understand. You gain 8% spell damage every 3 levels. Sure. Sorceress. Evasion. Making one takes a full day of concentration. Nah. Kronk very strong, less smart. Indeed. Shard pull. Lol. I should probably start selling all this bullshit. But I don't care. Got this. Give me one moment. Ah, that is the best track out of the 2 available. Oh my god. She has huge boob jiggle even when she stands still. I thought it was just when she casts. You know, he talks to me, and then doesn't even a voice line to say that he's bored of talking to me. Your attacks become stronger and have a chance to trigger an additional attack. Okay.
Men and gods bow before me, but No need from you, hero. We're pals, after all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's do this one. Chain lightning. Wait, do I just have to stand next to them? Your attack hits have a chance to cause a chain lightning. Okay, fine. This reduce my... It did reduce my range. What the fuck? So good though.
Death has taken many life forms before their final grain of sand had fallen. His theft of time cannot be allowed to continue.
Create a time field at your position that slows all enemies and missiles in it. Sorry. Let me just drink something. Okay. I mean, the only option really here is haste. For me, I'm good. Almost. I feel like Chain Lightning's issue is it kills enemies so far away from me that I don't really feel like going after, like, you know, collecting all the experience, which kind of means I'm gonna miss out on levels. I mean, it's actually the huge issue of the character itself because I'm just ranged and I don't really feel like going in, especially when there's like too many enemies on the screen. The Oblivious Time providing me an opening to break Death's skull. It's wonderful when you've got an insider, isn't it? Honor is for man, mortal. Gods conquer by all means necessary. Just, you suck. Chain Lightning. Let's try this one. Ah! Perfect. Actually means that next year I could maybe return to the Zelda
The stormy weather
run.
outside is just splendid today. Not to brag. Shame you're stuck in here. Well, let me help you zap out of it.
Lightning. Orb. I think lightning orb might actually not be bad. But I don't really know. Although I wouldn't really say this run is bad. This run is bad. But it's mainly because I don't have anything from mods. I mean, the damage is not bad. Actually still alive. Warpact. Almost a huge issue because enemies don't get stunned and they still have ammo. So. Ow. No! Ooh, who are you? Oh, you stare, warrior. You're nimble arm and everything. Can't be. You grunt. And you called me a warrior too. Ha! Calm down, take breath. It's few air here. Look, there's a lot to explain, but I try best. Just go kill Death now. We talk more later. Wait, so is this basically the same like as the knight now? I mean, she's dual wielding. Hi, I'm Scotty. Averon, a pleasure. I've heard of you, I think. The Noble of Veritas, aren't you the one who... Am I doing? Yes. Wow. You don't approve? On the contrary. Hi, I'm Maris. Hi, I'm Scotty. Lots of people around here, not what I was expecting. Lots of souls in need of saving, I imagine. Party? Is this for everyone? I would assume so, but weird. Hey you, bitch. So, you an assassin? Yeah. Scotty. Nixie. Good talk. Good talk indeed, bitch. Shot pull, more experience gain. Shit. Oh well. No SWAT. Reroll. Let's see. Yeah, it seems the same. Except now that I'm dual wielding. So maybe more damage but less defense. Would at least make the most sense.
The sand of the hourglass can only refill outside of Death's realm. Be resourceful with your time.
Don't tell me what to do. I mean... XP.
Time is all about the rules of the universe, but even they decided to jump in with some blessings, huh?
Rubber fire. If I remember correctly, today is it 30 years?
How goes it?
Wait. Oh yeah. 38 years ago, Windows released. The very first Windows. Very interesting. Lots of revolutionary stuff is released. The good old times. Oh yeah, wait. I mean, let me actually show this. So the reason why I know this is because earlier today, I saw a Twitter post of it. And it was a Steve Ballmer ad for it, and it looked like this.
How much do you think this advanced operating environment is worth? Wait just 1 minute before you answer. Watch as Windows integrates Lotus 123 with Miami Vice. Now we can take this Ferrari and paste it right into Windows Right. Now how much do you think Microsoft Windows is worth? Don't answer. Wait until you see Windows Right and Windows Paint, and to listen to what else you get at no extra charge. The MS-DOS Executive, an appointment calendar, a card file, a notepad, a clock, a control panel, a terminal, a print spool, a RAM driver, and can you believe it? Reversi. That's right. All these features in Reversi, all for just, how much did you guess? 500? 1,000? Even more? No, it's just $99. That's right. It's $99. It's an incredible value, but it's true. It's Windows from Microsoft. Order today. P.O. Box 286 DOS, except in Nebraska.
Poor guys in Nebraska, man. Screwed over. But actually, honestly, a kind of a cool ad. But those were the days. Even when I wasn't alive at that point. Combust. Chain lightning. You know what? Now that I think about it, so since Nintendo is like putting more and more consoles, like old consoles, on the Switch. I'm like really wondering why they haven't done the Game Boy yet. I mean, they have with like a couple games, but not like the full catalog, or like not the big catalog as they have done with the SNES, NES, and the N64. Because I can't think the size of the Game Boy games
With infinity at your side, you will succeed.
were much bigger than the Nintendo 64. Whenever you gain a level, gain a random boon for a limited duration. Your experience pull area is increased whenever you pull an experience shot through an enemy. It takes damage based on the experience in the shot. That actually sounds not that bad. No, give me the item.
We can't read times, so, I find them a bit scary.
Oh no.
You get scared by your own shadow. Don't mind my sister. She doesn't like anything that she can't foresee. That's not true. I love an exception, an anomaly. It's not real. You can't feel the real thing. But Oh, hey, hero. Oh, we nearly forgot you were there, it seems. Where were you headed then?
Your dashes become stronger. No. Shred it. I shred and then I get shredded. Classic. Chain lightning. Heal. No heal. Shot to bonus damage. Very bad. Chain lightning.
Fury, your evasion is increased. Fury. No, I couldn't dodge. I apologize, but I'm not familiar with your feats. Don't have any yet. Oh, going after death seems a bit rash. I once killed a dragon for going after my reindeer. Ah yes, you're a Highlander, alright. So you're here to save someone then? Oh, I meant souls in need of saving in general. But there's a specific one I'm looking for. You? I'm on a quest to kill death. Really? So am I. Warrior, I forgot to ask name. I'm Skadi. Why are you so frozen? I'm just, you're a legend standing before me. Ah, old legend. Can't trust old legend. Passed through too many people. You're a swole-built Highlander with the hair. No, wait, the skirt. Sorry, that was rude of me. It is what it is. Booba girl. Whose trophy? If only my potion skills were better. This is Torso. He doesn't have sell any helmet. There we go. Why is this one so expensive? It does like nothing for me. Whatever. Does look like Lena from Dota.
When my time comes, life shivers and hides. How can the living appreciate my beauty with his scythe above them?
Do again. Affected can't do anything. After the status expires, the affected can't be chilled or frozen. Froststone spawn at random. Hunted height. Your spell area is increased. And my curse is kind of. Does this also work on the explosion radius for my main attack? Doesn't really feel like it.
My gifts are far cooler than those of Winter.
Inner peace. What does weakened do? Affected deals 30% less total damage. Inner peace. Wait a moment. When was the Game Awards again? On the 7th, right? '13 is a... When is that? Ah, it's on a Thursday. Shit. Can't watch it. I did not mean to pick that.
Be mindful of Summer's aid. Do not let emotions cloud your judgment.
Just follow your heart.
Calm down, lady. I guess I'll keep going for this one. Zorro! Almost. If it's a bit longer, then I can do the Zorro sign. Okay. I'm dead. That was basically the nail in the coffin. right there.
What will you do now?
Program. Ow. Oh yeah, I forgot I keep healing on automatically.
It's so chilly down here. Let's get this over with quickly.
Shut up. Whenever an enemy damages you, you heal back a percentage. Okay. Immobilized enemies take more damage. Hunter never stops. Gain plus 8% crit chance. Your attack hits with 30% chance to recharge your dash. Good chance. Your attack shoots more projectiles. Not sure if this was good. I guess it was a really shitty idea. Gain attack damage for each immobilized enemy. You kill Frozen, there's a higher chance that it drops an item. Fine. Bad attack.
My sister got to you first, of course. She just can't stop meddling in mortals' affairs. Well, for once she's not the lone fox on this.
Ow. Spare areas increased. Well, damage is increased. What the hell do it? Vehemence. I don't have warp pack now. damage of your non-attack skills, item skills, summons, and statuses. I mean, damages you. Heal back. Divine Shield. Dracula. No. Bastard. Damn it. Defeat the chatty skeleton 33 times with mirrors. Get 8 different autocast blessings with mirrors. Get 40 summons with mirrors. You have infinite pull range, -1 dash, and 30% dash cooldowns. Shit. Want to like have this as like the ending music because it's time to say goodnight. So yeah, thanks for watching. You have a good day, night, the morning, afternoon, evening, whatever the time zone. I know it's kind of abrupt, but you know how it is with me. I do as I please. Right now, I please to end the stream. Oh, thanks for being here. Let's go to Dog, because Dog is playing Alan Wake again. And it's also his first playthrough. That's kind of cool. And yeah, thanks for being here. See you guys next time. Probably tomorrow. Bye.